Oh, sorry. Do you guys regret choosing university as the route? Because now we've got like apprenticeships. I know, like Shemaya, yours doesn't have an apprenticeship
Yeah, I haven't done it.
route, unfortunately, because teachers require degrees. But for everybody else, do you regret choosing the university route rather than doing the apprenticeship scheme route? And explain your reason why.
I don't regret it, but I think now I'm at uni and I'm realizing 9.25k is not worth what I'm getting.
Mm.
A sponsored degree might have been better because these fees, this debt we're getting afterwards is peak. Admittedly, we don't really feel it, we don't really see it, but it's not worth 9.25k. It's really not.
So for me, again, I don't regret it, but I wish I chose an apprenticeship. The reason why I got a degree is because I'm getting a degree in accounting and finance. That means I'm going to have loads of different pathways that once I've decided, I can, head to whichever one I want. And at 11, when I was choosing, this is when I decided to be an accountant, by the way, at 11 years old. At 11, I hadn't quite figured, I couldn't understand what different types of accountancy is and which one I specifically wanted to go to. I didn't want to get into, because I got 2 scholarships for apprentice degrees, but I was kind of worried that this is very like a particular path that if I go into it and I don't like it, then I have to start by at square one myself. I didn't really want to be trapped in a specific one. So even though I ended up actually going the exact route that those apprenticeships were, I think I quite like the fact that I went the degree option because it gave me a very good understanding of the industry as a whole. And then it makes me really firm in my decision, the one that I've chosen. Because now I know, okay, I've seen everything else, but this is exactly what I want to do. Whereas I think with an apprenticeship, I would have been forced in a particular line. So yes, I regret going to uni because the £9,000 just really isn't worth it. But then no, because if I hadn't gone to uni, I wouldn't have necessarily chosen the right path for myself.
I think also because for yours is like accountancy and finance, right? And I think because the year you were deciding to go to uni, the year after, a lot of bigger firms started doing the 360 course, which meant you could do all the different types. But that was a year after you chose.
It was actually the year that I chose, but I didn't understand what it was. It wasn't clear. So there was that option, but I didn't want that. I also wanted the apprenticeship where I got a degree in the end. The 360 you don't. I wanted my degree at the end of it, and the one with a degree was very specific, and I just really wasn't sure about that.
Yeah.
Also, I didn't want the company to own me.
Oh, okay.
So I actually did say yes to them, and then I got my contract, and it was like, whether we need you, you need to go. If we need you to move city, you have to move city. If we need you to do this, we need you to do this. Like, I kind of just didn't have a choice. And with the whole like moving thing, I didn't want to be bobbing in and out of Milton Keynes and Birmingham all the time. I wanted that control myself. So I decided not to sign my contract.
Yeah.
Nolan?
Nolan?
Yeah, I'm in the same position as Tommy. It's not that like regretting going, but if I was more aware of like the apprenticeship options, I probably would have gone that way. But only because going to uni, like as much as I enjoyed it, I feel like as well as the paying the 9k, I feel like going in, I wanted more like practical work because that's like that helps me learn better, and I didn't get as much of that as I thought I might be getting. Like they said, they normally tell you like what's going to happen for your course, and like I didn't get as much labs and stuff as I thought I would get, or as much projects as I thought I'd get. So I think if I was doing an apprenticeship, because I'd be like working, I'd literally be doing practical work almost all the time. So yeah.
What I will say about us that went to uni is that, well, in my industry anyways, is so when I did my placement, I got to see the reality of what it's going to be like working in an office. I would say uni doesn't put you behind regardless. When they're doing their apprenticeships, they're not, so degrees and masters are level 4 in the UK. When they're doing their apprenticeships, when we're all the same age, they're pretty much starting exactly where you are. The only difference is they were getting paid and we've got debt. But in terms of like knowledge wise, I would say we pretty much end up in the same place.
Yeah.
Really easy to catch up.
Yeah, I think for like me and most people who like do like economics and finance and stuff like that, like my industry, because I work for a bank, the problem that people at university coming out is companies are investing less in grad schemes and more into apprenticeships. So like there are less grad schemes for like what we kind of do, because we used to have like a fintech grad scheme, we used to have an accountancy grad scheme, we used to have like all these different grad schemes. We no longer have that. We have like one, and the rest are apprenticeships. And so like when everyone's leaving uni, like I'll be leaving uni with a degree and I'll enter the job market like everybody else, except I have 4 years experience or 5 years experience in the industry already over someone who's just coming out of uni and doesn't have that. So like, who are they gonna choose? Like out of the two of you, is like the one with the degree and the experience or the one with the degree? Like it's kind of that, and the job market's quite small. It's not exactly like quite big. Like there's like, let's say they have like 6 places for a job and there's 30 people competing for each space. So it's going to be, I mean, Shemaya, you don't have to worry about that because there's a shortage of teachers, but everybody else, it's going to be like
competition time.
Yeah, you made a good point.
It's going to be really hard, because even at the end of like, let's say someone's finishing their accountancy scheme, like we have some grads that finish their accountancy apprenticeship, and instead of like staying on at my bank, they went to PwC or they went to KPMG instead. Like they went to an accountancy firm and they got hired over people who had a degree. So it's kind of like
a lot of it's similar with teaching, because a lot of people know about just going through the university route, but there is a way that if you get you go to a school and you do work experience, for example, and they like you, certain schools or certain federations of schools can say, stay with us, get your experience with us, teach with us, and we will pay for your degree. And you can do that. The only thing is that's like 5 years long. And even though you get the same degree, they want you to work just for their federations of schools. And it's like what you were saying, Timmy, you're tied down to just that federation of school and there's no freedom. I mean, we all know that there's always going to be a shortage of teachers. The only thing is they don't want to pay for those teachers. There's grants out there for medicine staff, for midwives, for most career paths. You will find there's some sort of grant or bursary. There is nothing for teachers, because even though we are there, we get paid the bare minimum.
Yeah, but it's they
don't want to pay or hire teachers.
It's kind of annoying though with grants, because they have grants for like medical students, dentistry, but there's nothing for pharmacists. There's nothing for medical scientists. There's nothing for
fields they need.
Teachers. There's nothing for dietitians or nutritionists, which is kind of irritating. The things that they do have in terms of degree apprenticeships is like GSK, like big
pharmaceutical
companies like Neuromark. Neuromark has apprenticeships. So there's GSK, which is just absolutely annoying. The ones that I was looking at though, they don't really they do have some that are like chemical engineering and things like that. but they are for like 4 or 5 years, I think, because
5
essentially
years, yeah.
what they're doing is it's like a part-time degree, but most of the time you're working, which is really...
That's why mine's 4.5 years, because originally I was meant to do, the degree is 4 years long essentially, because you're doing it part-time, but towards the end, originally I was meant to get my professional qualification in my specialism. They removed that. They didn't want to pay for that. And originally I got guaranteed a job at the end. That got removed. We're not guaranteed jobs anymore. But the reason why it's like 4.5 years, which everyone was like, Jasmine, that's so long. You might as well just do your degree for 3 years. The reason why it's 4.5 years is because you're only going to uni twice a week. You have one study day a week. And you are at uni for 10 weeks and then you have 4 weeks off. Then you have 10 weeks and then 4 weeks off from uni. So that's kind of how your like schedule goes typically on these apprenticeships, which is quite intense because you're working full time and you're doing it at the same time.
Yeah. So for me, I think that was one of the other things that put me off is they can withdraw anything they want from my apprenticeship at any point. So that was one of the things I noticed with mine is that I can do all of this for them and they can use me as much as they want for the 5 years that they'll lock me in a contract. But then if after that they don't want to, they can let me go. Also, the fact that they've taken away your qualification, that's bad. If I came out of 5 years and I didn't get my full qualification after that.
You get the degree, but you don't get the professional qualification.
I would be fuming because it's the professional qualification that I need in accountancy. I don't need a degree. I want the professional qualification.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm going to do an apprenticeship, I want the qualification. Forget the degree. I want the qualification. That's more useful in my industry than the degree.
Yeah, but I think with these big companies as well, especially like GSK and Neumark, it's also like the psychological element of it as well, because a lot of them, they would like place you in all sorts of random places like Bradford and isolate you essentially from what you know to be like your own family and things like that. So eventually, if all you're doing is working for them, you're up there 24/7 and you don't really have that many friends and contact with other people, your only life is GSK. The only thing you're doing is working for them. You're literally locked in essentially for the rest of your career essentially, which I think is completely wrong because all you know is GSK or Neumark or that degree or that apprenticeship. So I was like, I'm not really going to go for that. It's not worth it essentially. I think because even the qualification that you get at the end of it, most companies and professions in my profession anyway, they don't really look upon it as like a really good thing. The grad programs, however, I do think that they view it a lot higher than like their apprenticeship schemes. I think it's just because they haven't developed it that well enough in like the medical side.
Yeah, they haven't. The
other ones like banking and accountancy and those apprenticeships have been here for some time now, but they're slowly developing it to, be more inclusive of what we actually need today, like degrees or other certain qualifications. The medical pharmacy, like if you rock up saying, oh yeah, I have some sort of flimsy qualification from GSK, they're like, well, it's not important to us, sorry. Like you need a degree. You're not considered a medical pharmacist. Sorry, we don't need you. Which is just useless because then that's 5 years gone for nothing.
5 years wasted for no reason. The joys of university. So, I think, unless Jasmine has anything else she wants to add.
Technical problem.
Sorry. No, I don't have anything else. I think we should do Tommy's selections.